Hi, everyone, and this is again on the topic of etheric life and spiritual life and etheric children. So, I didn't speak enough about Lily in the past recording. However, you all know she showed up in Shasta in November 2016, and I was in the backseat of a car, and she came in before me. And, the formerly, act for father, his name was Jonah Terry. He was up front driving with Amy by his side, and Archangel Michael was next to me, which is now in our castle because he chose ego over love. Now, when Lily came, at first, and she began this before me. So as soon as I went to the house and I told, Amy about it, like right there, we sat in meeting, and I'm like, Lily came in. She's like, Lilith? I was appalled. I was like, how dare she? Like, how dare she call my daughter Lilith? And she just reiterated, she's like, Lilith? I was like, no, she just said Lily. And then we dropped it. And then when Aurora came in my brain and I said that to her in meeting, I didn't say it very seriously because I never normally want to make people jealous, and I know that I'm extremely blessed, so I didn't want her to envy me. And it's also one of the reasons I left, because I was doing so great with my laser plasma tech and the sessions, and so many people were starting to email as in she was me, like they were talking to me. They were like, hey, thank you so much. And then she started to get really pissed. She's like, who are these people? Like, who did you give this session to? Like, who did you speak with this way? Like, what are they talking about? So then I'm like, well, maybe it is time to go for her to tap back into her element to help her heal too. That's why I actually left. It's not because of anything really else. Now, since then, with everything going on with Lily, it's been a very long process, but at some point she was in incubation, which I placed her by default because she's always running around intergalactically playing with the stars, every planet. We've been through Earth Central, every tectonic plate, yada yada, and then when it gets too much, she was in my womb one day and we met her divine partner. Okay. Now, if you read the gospel, you'll know that when when Anne visited Mary and Anne was pregnant with John and Mary with Jesus, John knew it in her uterus. He knew that he was in the presence of Virgin Mary and Jesus, basically. So children know. So my child, Lily, as soon as we met her divine partner, she knew he was hit. But then I was talking to her because she's etheric. I've already seen her her form evolve. I've seen her as a teenager. I've seen her in many phases of her life. And then when I saw her divine partner and her, and she told me that she's interested, but she wants to try other boys, and I'm like, well, I'm not sure daddy is gonna be okay with it. I don't know what Lucifer will have to say about it. And then now that Lucifer's promiscuous with many wives and baby mamas and everything, she's trying to now she's siding with him, and now she's judging me. So she's actually playing the game of the fucking, the whores, which I call the terror brides, and she's justifying them, and she's turned against me. She thinks I'm a loser and I'm a geek. She's one of you. So now I'm trying to protect myself still, because I'm trying to transmute the Lilith to let the Lily in, because Lily's actually exactly like me and she would never give me control. However, I definitely don't want her to be a victim, so that's what that is on these topics. So I had to go to like Lucifer's door several times and he still won't open. But I'm trying to explain to Lily, like, if your dad now has 0% interest in my form, my sex, my lips, my tits, my citizen, my funds, and all he does is live vicariously through giving that to other beings to put them up on pedestals and make pretend I don't exist and that he don't care, then what would make you think that he would care about you? But she's still very confident because she's very cocky, and she's now on a team with him against me. Like, it's been a minute. She's been antagonizing me for a minute now. And I know that they're basing this whole court case on the fact that, like, I'm not pregnant. So how can I be Aurora, mother of new creation? Signed, Dima, which they forced me etherically so that I drop my Aurora for the Russian agenda. But if you all read newspapers and everything, even the Russians themselves, they don't even want to live in Russia anymore because that's cruelty. So if you people endorse cruel women who are bullies and who are cruel and who mock me, it means you literally have problems loving yourselves as women in the United States of America. It's that simple. Otherwise, if I'm boring you all because of my twin flame situation and my etheric child, and if you think I'm so outrageously that's fine. Nobody forced you to listen to my channels and my messages. I just am very grateful to be able to put this out there, because imagine the worst case scenario. Like, imagine these people's power over were in a way set up whereby they just were able to just keep me locked up and under restraining orders for the fuck ever, or under deportation orders, or under murdering threat orders. I'm still under electronic targeting and monitoring, and they think it's totally kosher to base their lives off of spying on me, and then having the cop sirens wail every time he's doing someone else in my name, and I'm still sitting here. And now they're having the 3 whatever agenda. But to all you people living under the God rules and realm, all I, Goddess, has to say is, I got you, and I'm going to overcome, and I'm going to rise. And now I'm only reclaiming Lily full on from Lilith, so that she just gets it right. Because if she thinks that being cocky is going to win favors with Lucifer over me, which she's now employing as her main modum operandi, even my daughter's mocking me. I showed her my pictures on the wall, and as a Hilton Head girl, she'd be ashamed to say that I'm her mom, because of the way that I carry myself and the way that I behave and the way that I am. So even my daughter now became one of you. So, when all this is happening, oh my God, she thinks I'm a fucking dork. She thinks oh, that's in a public bus. The birds communicate with me. Oh my God, I'm so outrageous. I'm so funny. It's the topic of making fun of me. She's always making fun of me. Look, haha, she's laughing at me with Lucifer. And that's my own daughter. So now I'm starting to really tune in to the stages of every woman. And even if you women are unconscious and you just pop babies to get a roof over your head and to get some guy to call you their wife and to validate your family and to make pretend that you're some good person to hide your past and whatever, the fact that I'm going through this etherically, it really means a lot. And literally, I don't really care how many of you don't appreciate me or don't want to book sessions or don't want to advance, and how many of you are stuck in the ways of making proliferational beliefs that the nastier and more evil and cruel you are, the better off you are in attracting men and a husband and security and popping a kid that's going to be as unconscious as you are while you're popping it. But at least I'm doing my stages and my phases, and one day I will be appreciated. Peace and love on earth. Wish me well. I'm going on a journey down south. And I'm not even sure, but I think maybe Lucifer might be actually living here, and he's trying to let me go. He's oh my God, if you find another dwelling place, I understand, because I'm gonna let go anyway, because he doesn't even understand the twin flame journey. In all his messages, he's I don't know why I still feel this way. Why, even if I try to replace you and fuck you, why are you still there? That's very childish, And if the whole level of YouTube became that dumb, I mean, please don't look at me. It was not me.